it comes to stained glass. You need some tools, obviously, and believe me, some of it is a need to have and some of it is nice to have. But when we come to glass, and I'm not going to bore you with glass because I know nothing about glass. What I can tell you is glass is melted at 2,500 degrees F. Those that want to rework it out to see, please be free. You have got some glass which is called Cathedral. Dennis, can we roll some of them? Cathedral glass is basically what we know and see in churches. I've got some scrap samples of glass. Please, please, please have a look at it, but please, I haven't had the time to grind all the pieces. So you're going to cut yourself. Cathedral glass is traditional, what you see in churches. Different colors and things like that.
Is there a different thickness or all the same?
You're basically looking at roughly about 3 millimeters of glass. Okay.
Chris, you want to go through your slides?
We'll go through it. I just remembered that I don't have anything with Cathedral on there.
When do you want to go through
Yeah,
your
we'll
slides?
go through the slides just now. No, we can go just now. Then you have opalescent glass, and I hope I'm pronouncing it correct. The white of the bird is opalescent. No, don't worry. Okay? It is a solid glass. You can't see through it. You get it in various colors, obviously. It says opalescent is not transparent, although some sheets may contain relative transparent areas. A sheet of opalescent glass can be single color or a swirl of 2 or more colors. Then you get the next one is mottled glass. It's named after the round and circular patterns, something like that. This type of glass is something is nice to use when making sea fairies or fish or something like that. Then you have streaky or cloudy and wispy glass. The white of the lamp is, it says, are named that describe the most transparent cathedral style glass that also has mellow opalescent streaks of colors throughout. Stop me if you want to ask any questions. I hope I can give you the answers on it. And then you get what is known as glue chip. Now glue chip is a see-through glass. Traditional people will use this on windows, cupboard doors. Okay, it says has a unique surface texture. Some describes the pattern as feathered. Now if you look at it just now, I put the name on. Okay, looks frost and window pane. The name describes the process used to achieve the look. A thin coat of glue is applied to clear glass, which is then heated in an oven. As the glue dries, it pulls away from the glass and chips the glass. You can feel it. Okay? And then you get your textured glass. One side is smooth. Before I go away from the glue. Traditionally with a glue chip, if you make for argument's sake, if you're going to make a cupboard like that at the back there, or a window, I'll come back to the window now. You will use the smooth side on the side that you would reckon will have the least dust. Okay? So therefore, if you're going to make a cupboard door, you will use the smooth on the outside. It gives you the same appearance, but it's smooth on the outside. All right, I'm going to make a small little piece of thing just now. Now for the ladies, some of the men might know, yes, textured glass, but there's also mother of pearl. Don't know if you can see it. Beautiful. There's literally thousands of colors of glass. Right, that's a bit on the glass. Tools. Where's it? It runs very soft. You can get various little grinding discs. Okay, one for cutting glass. Holes, this one, if you want to cut a hole in glass, okay, you'll use that. You'll keep the glass at an angle. You'll use a small syringe. The other guys use it for filling up glue spots. I use it for, what do you call it? It's a water cutting soluble that is used, and I'll talk about that now. What I do is I pull up the syringe with this glass cutting lubricant, and you will spray it not to damage your toes. Believe me, it damages really quickly if you don't, what do you call it? Okay. Sorry, before I start, please, safety glasses. I wear glasses. I normally have a glass, and you can make it once you make glass that you can see through, because the glass does chip, it scratches your glasses. Be careful. Be aware. It's a bloody hobby. It draws blood. Have that. That's the only thing when it comes to safety. Okay? If you're going to use it, do this, practice this hobby in your house. Get yourself a piece of heavy-duty tarpaulin, put it on the floor. It's a hobby you can practice in the house. You don't have to have a workshop. Right. I've got a bit of an expensive glass cutter. It's oil-filled. 3-in-1 oil, the common 3-in-1 oil that you can buy, that we all used when we had bicycles. And we'll cut a piece of glass just now. Glass should always be cut with a liquid. Even the cheap and nasty glass cutter that you use, if you don't have oil, use a bit of turps or paraffin. Glass should also only be cut once. You score the glass, try and score it 2 or 3 times, you're going to have problems. Right. There's 2 pliers. There's more, but there's 2 pliers. And I say it's got a mouth like a fish. One has got a mark on the front. Okay, and the line of your pliers will always be on the line of your streak or your pattern that you draw. I don't like this thing at all. It's called a grocer pliers. It's got a round mouth. If you're gonna cut something and you want to break off that fine little line, you made a mistake. Use this one. I am not successful with it. Right, small pair of scissors. I think this thing is echoing, is it?
Just switch it off.
Can I switch it off? Don't switch it off. All right. Small pair of scissors for cutting your foil. You need a foiling pen, which is just I had it. They call this a foiling pen. Why, I don't know. But I'll show you just now what you do with it. You need a soldering iron, preferably something that is temperature controlled. Okay, your solder, and I'll get to the solder just now, melts it. Okay, let's talk about the solder. Your solder is 50-50. 50 solder, 50 zinc. Its melting point is 212 degrees C. The tip of your solder iron is, approximately 500 degrees C. Depends on the speed that you solder. You need to sometimes turn your soldering iron down, and that's why it's thermostatically controlled. Your grinder, I've only got two heads. One is a straight for grinding the edge, and one is for cutting or cutting a hole. You need a very fine 0.5 permanent marking pen when you do your pattern, and we'll get to the patterns. The reason why it's a permanent marker is because you've got water here, it'll wash the ink away, and you will have a problem. You also need some aluminium angles, and I've got some, and I'll show you just now why, and we've got them and why we would use them. You need some small paint brushes, one for putting the flux, which is a standard all day, every day flux, liquid flux for soldering, because you've got copper to clean your copper. And then you've got, and my wife said I shouldn't say it, but these aren't urine specimens. You get, it's called patina, and you get it in various colors. The one is for copper, okay? You will wash or paint this onto your lead, and it'll turn the silver lead into, and I've only got two here, either black or copper. I prefer the black. It tends to remain black much longer. You need a small craft knife, and then, Clive, we in the electrical game use cork. You can also use softboard. Okay, whenever you cut glass, even if it's a window pane, always cut on a soft surface, even if it's just an old towel or an old blanket. The guys, if you go into the glass cutting places, you'll see they always have a felt table, just to give that little bit of cushion on the glass. We'll cut a piece of glass just now. Right. What does it cost? It costs in the region of about 3,000 Rand to start your glass hobby. That is an expensive glass cutter. This thing is nearly 200 bucks. When I say expensive, I mean expensive in comparison to the one that you can buy at the local hardware store that you'll dip in some paraffin and score your stuff. Okay, a nice to have will be a fume trap. If you solder, I just use a small fan if you do it in the house. Okay, now you can be very fancy and you get what is known as a pattern shears. The pattern shears will, if everybody can see it, and I'll pass it around just now, if you cut this pattern,
Just hold it still.
if you cut that pattern, you want to get rid of all the red lines. The reason for that is, folks, if you cut it, you can have growth of your pattern. Okay? By the way, sorry, has anybody ever done stained glass here? Right, so you guys know what I'm talking about. It is tremendously upsetting. If you start, by the way, this little lamp has got 224 pieces of glass. Nothing is painted on that thing. I've got some beautiful patterns here of lamps, but I think the main thing is to get onto the doors. Right, consumables, you'll use a grinding coolant, which is just the oil dipped in some water, and that'll go inside here. You've got a little sponge here that will keep your grinder moist all the time. Please, folks, you're going to start, those that know about stained glass, don't dump this down your sink, because there's fine glass powder mixed up with the water. So when you wash, throw it on the grass or somewhere, not in your drain, not in your sink, because you're going to clog up your sink eventually. Right, I did cover on the solder flux as a consumable. I did cover on the patina. Now when we come to the material, we've got two basic materials. The one is our glass, and the other one is your copper foil. You buy it in rolls, various widths. Okay, there's a various types of foil. The most common one is what we would call, it's obviously got a copper, the underside. And I'll pass this around just now. The underside is if I can split it. Is a copper finish, or what we call black back finish. Now obviously, if you're going to make something and you're going to patina it so that it's copper, you will use copper. Okay? If you're going to use black patina and you're going to use clear glass and you what's the right word? Change it from to the patina. If you use copper on a see-through glass, you will see a fine copper line. Does it make sense? So therefore, if you're going to make something black, you will, on this year you will use ordinary copper foil. If you're going to use a see-through glass or clear glass, you will use black back if you're going to patina it black. Start passing that around. You get it in 4,7, 11 millimeters or 6,3 wide. It's the most common ones that's used. It has got a thickness of 0.025, 0.032 or 0.038. The men will know what I'm talking about. Right, you get textured, glue, chip, wispy, opalescent, cathedral, and then you get handmade glass. Now comes the shock. 3,000 rand to start. Your glass varies from 200 rand a square meter to 3,000 rand a square meter. That is the handmade glass. Yes?
How much does the glass cost? How much does that cost?
The what? Sorry, I didn't hear that. To start off, like I said, your grinder, your cutter, your pliers, your foiling tool, your kit will cost you about 3,000 rand, which is cheap compared to our woodworking game. A little grinder like this will set you back at 1,500 bucks. I've never bought a bit. If you look after your bit lasts a hell of a long time.
Chris, excuse me. Please, could we just hold the questions till after the presentation, please?
Origin of the glass: Germany, Brussels, Yugoslavia, and England. I believe Yugoslavia and Germany has got the best quality of glass. That's what I'm told by the professional people. I know of 4 people that give classes. The one is a lady called Michelle. She's out in Brentwood Park at a place called Sun-Kissed Nurseries. She's excellent. She's one of the best. Then there's a group of guys at Lead Gents. They are in Kensington. Then there's another company called Art Glass. They're in Senderwood. I must be honest with you, I have not checked up whether they're still there, but that in the telephone directory, that's the address. And then there's a company called Art Scene in Mondio. Now Art Scene in Mondio has got, when last were you there?
Long time ago.
Long time ago, okay. She had one of the best varieties of stained glass. They bring in tons of glass. Okay, now, when I said to you guys and folks just now what the glass costs, okay, you can buy piece of glass that size. You don't have to buy a square meter of glass. Believe me, you don't need a square meter of glass if you're going to play around like I've played around. Okay. I'm a little concerned now. I might talk nonsense because there's people that can do glass. I'm honest with you folks. I went for 2 months. I had an argument with my teacher, okay, because I wanted to do it my way and she didn't think I should do it my way. My way is, if I cut a piece of glass, all right, and I start assembling it, I keep my glass apart with little map pins, these little okies, okay? Because I'm saying to myself, if that glass is that far apart, if I foil, and we'll talk about the foiling just now, if I foil, it is sufficient so that I can have my two pieces of glass together with a fraction in between so that I can do my soldering. Okay, now, I hope you're all going to see what I'm doing. Another thing, whenever you do your pattern, can you all see? Each and every piece of glass should be marked. Otherwise, you're not going to find it again. There's a little flower I made. It's got 5 pieces of glass. It's 4 pieces of glass. I didn't mark it. I'm battling to find them. Jenny, you're laughing. You must have experienced it. When I send these around, at the back, the lead color, I haven't tarnished or stained. What's the right word, Jenny? What would we call it? Let's call it this color of the lead. You can either keep it the lead color, which will eventually go dark gray. You can have it black or copper. Okay. I deliberately made mistakes on these so that you folks can see what to do, what not to do. And as I say, it's a hobby. I'm not a professional stained glass guy. Okay, so we've spoken about the marking of the glass. Now we're going to have our pattern. And we're going to cut our pattern. Like I said, please cut the red lines away or the black lines away. Obviously, the finer you copy your pattern, the neater your job would be, your article would be. Right. Sorry, I've mislaid my other pen. Red one. Let's try the red one. This is to show you cut your pattern that fraction smaller in order so that you can foil it, grind it, foil it, and have it together. Because, as I say, I made this for my daughter. Some of you know my daughter Chantel. She's in a wheelchair. I'm going to just hold it here. You can imagine now, if your pattern, your glass is too big. Now, every piece on this fairy is a piece of glass. There's no paint on here, except the eyes and the mouth. Will it be better if I hold it here?
I think maybe against the white.
Against the white.
Oops. Yeah.
Need a light behind it.
Yeah, I need a light behind it.
Do you want the light behind it?
Yeah.
All right. Every piece of glass, every piece there is a piece of glass. It's been cut, grind, and soldered together. So if your glass goes big, nothing is going to fit. My wife wants me to make several different birds to be mounted on a mirror. And we'll talk about mounting of mirrors. Little mini. And I'll tell you why I've made these minis. Or just a suggestion. Right. Glass is something that you kind of just cut the way you want to cut it. For argument's sake, if you look at that flower over there on that bird, okay, you cannot just start anywhere to cut the glass. Jenny, am I right in saying that that would be the first cut? Okay, so that piece is away now. That'll be your second cut. Or you could try and cut it that way. You cannot cut into a dead corner. Otherwise, the glass is going to break. And then you'll cut that one, and you'll cut that one. But you start off cutting there, then you'll cut that one, then you'll cut that one, then you'll cut that one. Obviously, the outer faces as well. For an electrical motor repair company, and we have offcuts of plastic that we use for insulation. Jenny's shaking her head. Husband must also be working. The other thing, go and see your doctor. Ask him for old x-rays. Okay? Ordinary jig, Javel, wash the thing there, and you can use that as your pattern. Okay, I know the whole idea of stained glass is for us to make doors, but I'm not a turner, I can't turn. For the guys that love their turning, you can make shades. You can make you do the turning and your wife can make the shades. Now, you can see through it. So therefore, it works well. It's a nice thick plastic. So once you've cut it out, your pen, the edge of your tip of your pen scores around it nicely onto the glass. I must just not throw everything around, otherwise I'll find nothing just now. That's common. If I want something out of my workshop, I say, Tanka, please, I'm looking for this. And she finds it for me. Right. Any questions on the cutting of the glass? We'll get to it just now. Right. The foil, you can imagine you've got a 4mm piece of foil or thereof, and 4mm of foil, and you've got a 3mm piece of glass. Folks, please, your foil must be equi-spaced around the glass. If it's not, you can have, for argument's sake, a 5mm there and a 2.5mm over there. When you wrap your foil around the glass, make sure that the two ends meet perfectly. Otherwise, believe me, when your product is finished, I'm not going to show you where it is, you can see it. Right. So what you would like, what the perfect would be, is to have your foil perfect around your glass. It takes a little bit of practice, okay? And this is where the foiling pen comes in. I'll do a quick piece just now. Where the foiling pen comes in, that is basically to rub the glass on edge like that, as well as like that. All right? When you get to a corner, please, when you fold the foil this way on the corner, it's got two little thorns there. You would think you've been in the rose garden. It pricks like hell. Band-aid strip, works perfect. Now, the people tell you, if you're going to make Dennis, can we possibly start rolling some of the things, please?
Are you going to talk to them?
Yeah, that I have lines in which to fasten to solder my ferry onto. I'll just put this here so that it doesn't fall and break, but you're more than welcome to have a look at it. Obviously, that's why it's here. Dennis, can we go to the one, okay, that's the lamp that we've got here. There is the mirror. Now, if you do lead stain work on mirror, be careful. It scratches like hell. You'll obviously cut it from the top, i.e. from the front. Be careful when you lay it down on your soft surface. If there's any chips of glass, it's going to damage your silver at the back. And very important, always finish off your mirror after you've cut and ground it. You need a special grinder for it if you're going to put your glass flush with the mirror. Ladies, gentlemen, steal your wife's, if you haven't got varnish or anything, steal your wife's Q-Tex and seal the edge of the mirror. Otherwise, you folks have seen, especially old mirror, it starts, looks like it's rusting or staining or whatever. That is what it is. Your lead and your flux will ingress into between the glass and the silver, and it'll cause some rotting. I've done it without doing it. I've had to throw a massive big mirror away. Incidentally, that is the mirror, obviously. That is on top of the mirror, and that is inside or flush with the white glass. That there is obviously pieces of glass. There I've got a piece of mother of pearl clear glass, okay? And those lines that you see there, I've taken some thin copper wire and I've just twisted it, okay, to create the fan effect. The green over there is green Cathedral. There's a piece of Cathedral there. And obviously you can see it's just a Ritzia flower with some roses. Right. Please, again, I must just stress that when you people look at the glass, it's lying on the table, be careful you don't cut yourself. Some old windows or bookcases that had lead glass little doors. You'll say, oh, this oak is unorganized. I'll pass this around. This is called cane. And this is what the people use. By the way, none of those windows or anything like it's got any strength. Dennis, where's that one with that I filled in a door? No. At times, she's on a wheelchair, so she doesn't need a chair. Okay, and that's where we sit. Yeah, that one there. There's a simple little thing. If you go to Michelle, it's a little serviette holder. It's a little duck with some reeds behind it, obviously spaced apart. And this was why our first argument we had. She said to me, I can never do that after the first little project. Now, it's a simple little project, so when you go in and do any course, the people will show you a very simple thing to do. But believe me, it's not simple because it's got all the possible cut lines that you can get when you make a product. Simple, but it's there. That there was a glass door leading from our TV room onto a veranda. We extended the house. The veranda was incorporated into the lounge, and I just closed up the door. That's glue chip with different types of glass. Now, if you can see there, again, there, it's a similar flower to there. You need to follow your lines. You can't just willy-nilly go and cut the glass. There again, the way I did it, I did all the flowers, I did all the leaves, and only once I was finished, I laid it down on my glass, onto the glue chip, and I drew the pattern, the finished little article. Those are little hummingbirds, okay, and I laid my glass out. You don't necessarily have to use a solid piece of glass from there to there. You use small pieces that will eventually fit in there. Just be careful that you get your feathers, like they said in the article, the feathers lying in the same direction. You'll see just now, if you look at this, it looks like it's got little feathers on here. So you obviously don't want to, if you're going to go that way, you obviously don't. You can see mine is facing up like that. There's nothing that's lying horizontal. Okay, coming back to and if I jump around, stop me.
Stop.
And I've never done it. I've never done it. My neighbour has done it. He's done a couple of church windows, repaired a couple of church
Piece of
windows.
cane.
I don't think we'll see that at all. Okay, so basically what it is, you'll fill your glass in there. Incidentally, this is not watertight, waterproof, so don't try and make a fish tank out of it. Unless you seal it on the inside with silica. All right. I believe there's a compound of cement that you can put in between here. It's plaster of Paris, Portland cement type of cement with linseed oil and some other stuff that you mix. But you can buy the right McCoy as well to do that. I've never done this, so I do not think I know anything about it. Again, it's here if you guys want to have a look, ladies want to have a look. It's very important that you foil correctly. It's very important that you solder correctly. Now, that one I showed you, even that one there, on the inside, it is the lead is flush. My solder is flush to give me strength. Okay, and only the one side is curved. But this lamp here, on both sides, you'll feel, or that there, on both sides, you'll feel that it is rounded as it should be. Next, nothing more. Tiny little angles, different lengths, okay, and those of you that will really be interested in doing stained glass, I've got a couple of sheets, a few sheets, not a hell of a lot, of cork at home. If you're really going to be interested in doing stained glass, I can let you have a couple of, a small piece per person. We've only got about 4 sheets, about a meter square, so we can cut it up. Okay, it works very nice, it works very well. Obviously, I haven't brought along a piece of 3,000 rand glass, I just bought some ordinary window.
You're supposed to get up with the camera.
I know. You know what happened to the connection.
I'm joking.
I'm having a good enough
Yes,
time.
the camera ways to get there.
I think we can all see, just do some lines.
You should put the picture.
Johnny?
No, I'm just battling a bit to keep up with you here.
Oh, well, like I said just now, if you cut glass, you cannot do that. What I've done, I've drawn a line there, and I've drawn a line there. Something is going to break, something is not going to be the right article. Okay? Don't go, where's it done? Again, like I said, you've got your black line, it's roughly the center of the jaw. I've unfortunately buggered my jaw up. The plastic is cracked, or the protection is cracked. I actually wanted the other piece. Be careful, it's sharp. I'll do it with 2 fingers just to guide it. As I say, this is a plunger type of glass cutter. I've actually got a price list here from Legends. I got their permission to use their price list just for a guide. Okay, a soldering iron will cost you 198 Rand. A controller will cost you 248 Rand. I can smell my soldering iron. Right, little stand. You can make a stand. You can buy a stand. It will cost you 80 bucks. A glass snapper will cost you 80 bucks. A grocery pliers, 88 bucks in that region, okay? Marking pens, you can buy at any place. By the way, these new DVD pens, they write well, but they're a bit wide. Okay, a glass cutter, 250 bucks, or something similar to this. Okay, I've used the tip of a pen, protect, and then I put it into another. I mean, 250 bucks for this is expensive, so therefore let's look after it. The straight edge protective glasses, obviously you don't have to buy that from them, you can buy it anywhere. Your copper foil is 50 bucks, and you're looking at approximately 30 meters of foil at 30 bucks. Your patina is 12 Rand, your brush. Your solder works at 41 Rand for half a kilogram. Incidentally, that big window I had there, there's 5.5 kilograms of glass in there. 5, 6, 8 years ago, I could have sold that for nearly 2,000 Rand. Most of the glass hobbyist people, they use the 50-50 lead. Dennis, am I talking too much or am I okay as far as time is concerned? Right, let's quickly carry on.
You've got 20 minutes, Chris.
All right, in 20 minutes I should be able to do. Don't do that. I was going to say don't do that, and I did it. You can cut yourself. All right, if you hold it wrong. That's not what I want. But possibly that's what I want. Okay. Believe me, there's nothing in cutting glass. People think it's not rocket science. How are you laughing? Those are old curves, folks. Everything there is a single piece of glass. You will use a green or a brown, for argument's sake, if you can have a stem, if you make a picture, like that one with the birds. Put the plastic sheet over here, not to mess on the table. If ever you buy a grinder like this, I made a mistake. I used a plastic tray, because you do mess a little bit. Okay, use a plastic tray. Eventually I had spillage of water. The water got sucked in the bottom of the fan, and I kept on tripping the switchboard. It's quiet, it's safe. Okay. Trick here is your grinder. Let me take that away. Your grinder must always be wet. All right. Again, glasses when you grind. I made a shield. You can buy a shield and hang on your head if you want to. I made a glass shield so that it protects there. obviously I'm doing it fast. You're not going to do it that fast because if you overcut your glass, okay, now you can, hang on, now you can rub the glass, all right, but don't try it when it's fresh, please, you're going to cut yourself. Band-aid strips even bigger and more. Another thing to be concerned about or to be careful about is when you have small pieces of glass, if your soldering iron is too hot, you will crack the glass. I know, it's one hell of a task. As a matter of fact, if you look at my bird there, I think my servant tried to clean the thing, she's cracked the glass. Over there, there's another one or two pieces, it's cracked. Okay, now when you've got this glass, you will obviously take it to your little dish or something, wash it with chlorine dishwasher, make sure there's no oil on there, on the glass, and then you will, I'm not going to worry about washing it now. Any questions regarding the grinding?
Does it only do the face, Chris?
How big goes?
Does it only do the face of that glass where you cut it?
Yeah, you'll only cut the edge.
Okay, so that's what it does, it just cleans that off.
That's correct, yes. You can, if you're going to do one job, one little article, okay, and you really want to, you can use sanding paper, or you can use one of those narrow belt little sanders, okay, but you're going to chip your glass. But again, you know, if you want to smooth a piece of wood, you're going to buy yourself a planer. You're going to turn a piece of wood, you're going to get all Clive at the back there to give you lessons and buy yourself a lathe. You know, yeah, some people might say, it's a waste of money to do one or two. But incidentally, that bird there, Tina and myself copied from there. I didn't have a pattern. I had a picture. There's our pattern. We've just sort of enlarged and drew, and plenty erasing and plenty, what do you call it? Blood, sweat and tears. Right. This here is be careful, the little plastic heads of the Mac pins come off. That there is that. It's a tulip. Hopefully it won't fall. It's a tulip that a lot of people use for kitchen cupboards. If you're going to make a kitchen cupboard or your top cupboards, obviously. I mean, it's unlimited. If you're artistic and you can draw, then it's there. You can draw your own stuff. By the way, that big thing that I had with the hummingbirds, Michelle drew for me. I told her what I roughly wanted, and she drew it for me. What next? In the meantime, okay, now, you can either, they call these gems. Gems. You can either use a gem, which you also foil, and you put it in the center of your flower, or you can use a piece of glass. Don't worry if you drop it, it's samples that I brought. Look at it. Some portion of it is copper foil, copper patinaed, some is blackened, some is raw, lead. Right, I better get going. I'm obviously not going to I'm obviously not going to solder the whole little flower that I've got. I'm just going to tack it together because there's for the turners that's going to make lamps. I must show you. Jenny has done some of it, so I'm sure she knows what I'm going to talk about. How to fold your glass if and when you make the shade. Incidentally, I buy my solder from Nasco. They're near, if you guys know Germiston, like where the old Atkins steel used to be. The only problem is you need to buy a couple of kilograms, a couple of rolls. But I'm sure there's guys here that'll, because the stained glass people, they do rip you off. Somebody has had experience. Unfortunately, your glass, I can't tell you where to buy glass cheap. Incidentally, and there's a lot of men that won't even know this, when you finish, clean your soldering iron tip. Somebody said, why? How? Piece of sponge with water. Why? Because there's certain acid, the flux stays on your soldering iron tip. This tip, folks, must have done 20 or 30 kilograms of solder. There's no wear on my tip yet. I clean it because if you don't clean it, the acid will chew your copper away. Right? When you solder, the iron doesn't heat up your article. The iron melts the lead goes on there. You cannot try and desolder something with a hot iron. It's the molten lead that melts the rest of the lead. So when you're tall, you have to sit. Peter, can you see there?
Yep.
Obviously, when you solder, you want to try and get your bead as smooth as possible. Okay, there you can see the bead is pretty smooth. There's some folks, especially the Americans, they like what they call a textured solder bead. It's rough. When people can't do things properly, they make it rough and they make it a feature. You like that?
Worried about the connection. If I move the connection, it sometimes loses it.
Dennis, I'm just going to tack these pieces of glass together. Again, those people that's done soldering before,
You can do it next month.
even if you solder your gutters or downpipes at home, piece of steel, the secret is it must be clean. That's why you use the spirits of salts. The solder flux, sorry. I guess in the old days they did call it spirits of salts. I'm not that old yet. It's a very relaxing hobby. That, incidentally, that feature that I did in that door took me 45 hours to do. And I don't think I worked too slow. That is, I cut the glass, I ground the glass, my daughter Tina washed the glass, my daughter Chantel foiled the glass, put the copper on, copper foiling on, and I would solder it at night. TV was in that same room where that TV cupboard is. I had my hard top in the corner, and you know, it's a family thing. The ladies, if you're going to do stained glass or stained glass, forget your fingernails. You grind them away, you cut them. What more can I say?
You don't have to bite them.
There's nothing to bite.
Talking about biting of glass, can I tell her? When I met Tina, her fingernails was bitten into the flesh. And I said to her one day, "Sis, my hande is lelik." That was the last she ever bit her fingernails.
Cute.
Again, this is just very rough. Please, it's rough. You don't have the time to. Glue chip with some solid glass. Again, as I say, that there is the pattern. Whenever you do your feature, always make 2 copies of the pattern. Don't use your book, because your book will eventually get very dirty. The flux go through. The solder burns your books. Those books are expensive. I've got a couple of books here, and I'll gladly show you. These things are expensive. Again, it comes from overseas. These people rip us off. Okay, if this is a finished product now, I'll solder it on both sides, beat it on both sides. Okay, I'll wash it, and I'll use the patina to either blacken or copper. I've never used the copper. I've only bought the copper the other day just to show you. I don't really like the copper. Black just seems to be much nicer. I'm not gonna bore you with the doing the patina. Okay. Folks, I've got a very small lamp. I've got a picture of it. Okay, before I go on to the lamp. If you, nearly it's gone. If you, that little angles I said, if you have a piece of glass that is going to have various pieces, okay, you will use that to keep your thing together. All right? This is a very small little lamp. This will take a little bit of your time. I hope you don't mind. Us men can't do without our wives. Peter, can you see what I'm doing?
Move the
No.
bottles.
Move the bottle.
Thank you.
Close the bottle first. Okay, obviously, and if I can explain over here, this lamp shade. Now we're onto the turners. The reason why I bought the book on the motor cars, there's a whole host of old, the 50s cars. The idea is if a guy is gonna, if you get a task to make a pub for somebody, a bar counter, instead of like on that TV cabinet that I've got, instead of using roses or something, you can use the cars, just as a feature. Incidentally, when yeah, the biggie lamps. Incidentally, when Mike saw this Mini, he bought the Mini. Mike from Timber City. Black glass is very expensive. Red glass is very expensive because there's gold powder in there. It makes it so very expensive. Incidentally, this is mainly cathedral glass. Green cathedral, red. It should not look like that. I'm going to fix it up. At least make it smooth at the back. I think it's a feature. Right, when you make a lamp, you will have all your sections. I'm not going to guarantee I'm not going to do it right. Oops. Okay, what you would do is use reasonably good quality insulation tape. Okay, and you will actually stick the insulation tape across there. I'll show you why. All right, now there's no way, incidentally, when you look at a Tiffany lamp, it's those round ball lamps, millions of pieces of glass. I don't have the patience for it. Those are made on a let's call it a styrene former. Okay, it's expensive. It's purpose made for a lamp. Some of the people that give classes, thanks, Mark. Some of the people that give classes will lend you this, hire it out. I somehow don't like a Tiffany lamp. I don't know why. Right. I'm now just going to lift this up. Okay. All the pieces are taped together.
Now you need your wife again.
Not 100%.
Well done.
It's not
engineer square.
Hi, Dennis. All right, it's not perfect. It's not perfect. We're obviously rushing it. Okay, but there it is.
Well done.
Okay, that's your centerpiece, and those people that's interested, I'll show you what this thing looks like. It's got a fancy lace piece at the bottom. All right, now you'll solder that together and clean it and things like that. You buy what is called a vase cap. All right, different sizes for different size of lamps. And okay, this one doesn't fit here, but you can see the whole concept and the whole idea. This you'll obviously tin this thing, solder it, okay, before you'll put it, and then you solder it on there. Okay. Now you have various fittings. Different lamps will use different pieces. I think that small little lamp, no, not one of them, sorry, has got this in. You'll get a piece of thing that'll, threaded piece that'll screw in there. Incidentally, this you will solder onto your lamp on the inside. Your glass, you know, your excuse me, this will sort of lie in the corners of your glass. This obviously will be used on a hexagon lamp. Right, or you buy a spider like this. Obviously multiples of 4 or multiples of 3. You will bend it the right angle. Incidentally, these lamps have got, both these lamps have got them in. Okay, again, everything is available. If you really want to be fancy, you go and buy yourself a piece of bathroom chain, die propketting. It's brass, you clean it, and you can solder it on the bottom of your lamp. Vir die vrouens wat wil fancy wees, dan lyk dit baie mooi. I made a budgie lamp. There's some guys I know that breeds with birds. Made a budgie lamp. It's also as big as that. I eventually offered to buy it from my daughter so I could smash it. It is frustrating when you break. There's some pieces that is tiny, tiny, tiny. You don't throw your scrap. I was in a guy's garage workshop the other day, not garage, but workshop the other day, and he had little boxes. Scrap offcuts, scrap offcuts, this. Same with the glass. You don't throw your glass away. The tiniest pieces you will keep. What else? Books, patterns. Here's one. They call it Rev Up. It's got a 64 Mustang. It's got a Thunderbird. It's got a Packard. It's got a Austin Healey, the Mini, the Jag, Chev, Pontiac, Cadillac, beautiful Volkswagen Beetle. All very nice. Big cars. Okay? Again, if you want to play, if you want to make your son and grandson an ornament for his garage, for his bedroom garage, listen to me. You buy these books, I don't even know, I think I paid $150 for this thing about 8 years ago. It's expensive. Beautiful lamps for the guys that can turn. Old Rose, that lamp there, if you can see it. Everybody see it? That's a very simple lamp to make. It's got 468 pieces of glass.
That's simple.
Lekker my darling, dat gaan werklik jy hou. Incidentally, that thing is the top diameter is 4 inches or 10 centimeters, and the bottom is 61 centimeters or 24 inches. It's nice to make. Be careful, it's a hobby that is expensive and people don't want to pay. Alright? Whether you buy a piece of furniture or make a piece of furniture, you make it for the love of it. Stained glass you make for the love of it. Unless you want to start and retire by giving lessons and classes and. There is a phenomenal amount of stuff that you can make. The people that make grandfather clocks, I can make you a grandfather clock out of glass. I can make you various lamps. The books are available. The patterns are inside. Again, make photostats. Don't destroy your books. Books are expensive. There's that one I showed you with a mirror. So I'm not autistic. I'm just a good copier. Your rose, okay, there's one thing that I must just point out in closing. For argument's sake, if you've got oh Dennis, can we try and just pull up one that's got a rose on it, a fluorescent fitting inside there, which gives me sufficient light if I watch television. Okay? That there, right at the top, is also very small pieces of glass that I've cut and ground and cut fingers and you know. But if you've got very, very, very small pieces and you definitely want to bring out the feature, all you need to do is take some copper wire and actually bend it to the final shape. In other words, if I wanted to put a tiny little ring, let's say over there, okay, instead of cutting the glass, I'll put a piece of copper there. It'll look like it is a separate piece of glass. You follow what I'm saying there, no?
Yep.
I think go for lessons. Nobody of us are there.
Any
All right.
questions?
Your
If you
hobby.
go for lessons, don't fight with your teacher.
Yeah. Same one, different light behind it. The lamp is this one here without the globe switched on, obviously. There it is with the globe switched on. This one here is the glass that they call Baroque. It is a two folks, and